Hey Elaine.
Hello.
I've got a question for you.
Excellent. Give me your question.
What's more disappointing, the Strictly lineup for this year or the All-In lineup for this year?
Well, you're forgetting that the All-In lineup for this year, which I think is a reference to wrestling, does not contain the one, the only, my beloved, the love of my life, my childhood hero, Les Dennis.
So it's all in for you then.
Yes. What is All In, Mark? Explain to our beautiful listeners what All In is.
I'll do it briefly because I know that we're on the clock tonight. All Elite Wrestling is the second biggest wrestling organisation in USA and probably the world.
With WWE being the first.
Yes. Yeah, it was set up a few years ago by a few people who'd made it big on the indies. Someone who used to be in WWE and is now back in WWE, Cody Rhodes.
This is all very confusing.
Yeah. They're a smaller promotion, like they're challenging, and they're, I think, a lot of fans who feel let down by the direction WWE has taken went to them because it's an exciting new brand. They've never left North America, and they decided to announce that they were coming to London, and everyone thought, oh, that'd be good,
That'd be nice, yeah.
It's owned by the people who own Fulham Stadium, so they thought, well, maybe they'll push for Craven Cottage.
Sorry, so it's owned by the people who own
Fulham Football Club.
Fulham Football
Yeah.
Club. I
The
didn't know
Cons,
that.
yeah.
Right?
They also own the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are,
I shrugged my shoulders.
that's an American football team. To be
Thank
clear,
you.
they are very rich. They are billionaires.
Okay, so you thought they might go to football.
Yeah.
Fulham Stadium.
Yeah, and that would be the biggest show they've ever done. They announced they'd booked Wembley Stadium. So everyone went, hang on, what? It's testament to the brand that they have created and through the wrestling bubble that this show is going to be. It's almost certainly the most tickets ever sold for a wrestling show. And
What, in the world?
Yes.
Or in the UK?
no, ever.
Oh, right.
Yeah, maybe not ever, but yeah.
I thought, surely WWE and the, what's that thing you went to?
WrestleMania. Yeah.
Surely that's because that's huge, isn't it? I mean, I saw the
Yeah.
photos many times.
So there was one massive WrestleMania that was WrestleMania 32. I think that was 2016. I mean, yeah, who listening cares?
Yeah.
And that was attended by 80,700
Right.
people. There is a chance that they will break that.
Because the capacity at Wembley is bigger?
So they've
I
sold
don't
more
really
tickets
remember.
already.
Right.
Or
Oh,
more
okay.
tickets have been distributed already.
Okay.
Yeah, there were two events that took place in the mid-90s in North Korea, which were attended by 150,000 people each night.
Okay.
We don't really class them because a lot of people went there through their own choice and probably didn't.
Oh,
Yes.
right. Oh,
Yeah.
no. So what's the capacity? I'm going to ask you this question, you may not know. But what's the capacity at Wembley Stadium?
Well, I mean, a lot.
A lot.
It depends how you
A
set it
lot.
up because you put a stage in, you put people on the pitch, so
Yeah.
it's more than it is for football.
Right, okay.
I think in theory you could probably get up to 90,000.
Okay.
Or you could probably sneak in
I
a
had
few
no
more.
idea. I thought you were going to... I knew it was at Wembley. Because you're going to this.
Yes, I'm
You're
going
going
to
to this event. I knew it was at Wembley, but I just kind of felt like you might have quite a bit of the seating maybe empty or rearranging the seating in some way.
When I booked for tickets, I thought that too. I've been proven to be wrong. I mean, look, I'm more tend towards WWE than AEW. According to a lot of people online, that means I should hate AEW because we have to be tribal about these things as wrestling fans.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really exciting. Apart from the card.
Yeah, and I was about to say, let's go back to your original question because you were comparing the Strictly lineup for 2023, which has just been announced, with this event that you're going to. So you're not impressed with who you're going to see.
How it seems to me is the owner, Tony Khan, booked this 6 months ago, so he's had this all lined up, and he's known the open day ticket sales were really high. So when you opening day, there was probably 50,000 plus, and they've gradually gone up bit by bit. I think a lot of people, it's obviously front loaded because a lot of people are really excited. And it seems like he got to August and went, fucking hell, I've got a show to run in Wembley Stadium.
I feel like that in my day-to-day life.
Yeah. I mean, no, this isn't true, because you've done. Because
No,
you
I
would
do,
have had
I
this
panic.
planned out.
Well, yes, but still, I would.
You have this
still
planned out
be
the day after, because I know you work.
yeah.
I do this all the time.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's how it seems. I mean, the top match is MJF, who's their champion, versus Adam Cole. That match.
And I know the name Adam Cole
Yes.
because I think he was in WWE.
He was in NXT.
Oh,
yes,
right,
but
okay.
yeah, which
But
is
that-
part of WWE.
that thing,
Yeah. That match, I mean, that's quite exciting. They're in a good program. It's a little bit comedy for what I would consider like the top match for me, the stuff they've been doing. But that match was on free TV a couple of months ago as part of the program, so that's a little bit disappointing. They've now got 2 world championships for reasons. With CM Punk versus Samoa Joe, match was on TV last month. They have some really exciting wrestlers, but they've kind of put them all together in 6-man tags and things like that rather than you want. I think this could really feel like something, and there will be a big crowd. It'll be excellent atmosphere, but I think a lot of people going just expected a little bit more. This to be an absolutely memorable card for every reason, whereas this feels like AEW, for reasons which I'm not entirely sure of, have another big show the week after. And in some ways, it's kind of like, it feels like almost a little bit of a pre-show for that. It's like, do you want to do it in front of 70,000 people? Or do you want to set up things for the week after? A lot of people have said this online and been told, shut up, it's a great card. And it is, but it's not that WrestleMania level. Everything's been building up to this card. There is a wrestling match, which, oh God, you're going to roll your eyes now.
I've rolled my eyes already. It's okay.
So Sting and Darby Allin, not that Sting.
Go on, please don't be that Sting. I'll be so excited. If it was that Sting dressed up from the original Dune with his nappy on, I'd be very excited. That could be like his wrestling sort of gimmick with, dressed up as Dune Sting. Yeah, carry on. Come on, yeah, you can carry on.
Versus Swerve Strickland and AR Fox.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I roll my eyes again?
Okay.
Do you remember at the beginning of this conversation before we came on the podcast where we said we wouldn't spend very much time talking about the wrestling because no one cared? Yeah.
I care though.
I'm thinking about that right now.
I'm starting. But they're doing 2/3 of that match this weekend. So it's Darby Allin and another guy, Nick Wayne, versus Swerve Strickland and AR Fox. It's like, you could have done something, and I feel next time they will not get anywhere near 70,000 because I think a lot of people really expected this to be a big thing. I know people who are flying in from America to go to see this. Yeah. But yeah, it'll be a great show. It's almost impossible for them not to do a great show given their roster and card, and the crowd will be amazing, but it does feel like a missed opportunity.
Much like the Strictly Come Dancing lineup, I think you're going to say.
There's a big Venn diagram between wrestling and Strictly.
Oh, I think so.
I'm pretty sure.
I think so. I think every week we should come back on and have a wrestling versus Strictly chat.
So aside from...
Can you remember anyone who's in the Strictly lineup? Because I'm really struggling, apart from, the greatest of all time.
Well, I do, because I've got it in front of me.
Okay. Wondered what you were doing. Right, come on then. I know there are soapy people, so various men from soaps, including, I think, Dirty Den's son from EastEnders, which shows my age. Nigel Harman.
Yes.
Nigel Harman also played the king in Shrek. On stage, in the musical Shrek. I'm sure he played Lord Farquhar. That's it, not the king. I'm sure he played that role. That's another random fact that I know about Nigel Harman. Anyway, people are saying they think he'll do very well because of his musical theatre background.
Zara McDermott, who's apparently from Love Island.
Nope.
Amanda Abingdon.
Yes.
Abingdon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of Sherlock fame.
Angela Rippon turning up for the first week and then going.
Oh no, I think there's a lot of love for Angela Rippon. I think because her Morecambe and Wise routine. I think she's been dancing for a very long time. I think she'll do really, really well. Why are you looking at me?
I bet you she's at week 1.
No, I don't. Okay. I'll accept that bet.
Yeah.
I accept that bet.
A little, gentleman's bet as well. Leighton Williams, who is from Everybody's Talking About Jamie.
Who will do really well.
Yeah. Krishnan Guru Murphy from John Craven's News Round.
I forgot that he was on. That's a bit of a funny turn for him, isn't it? Given that he's now I know what you're referring to, but he's on Channel 4 now as a very serious reporter, and has been for a long time, very serious reporter. So that it's a bit of a move for him. You know what? I'm thinking he's still like 25, but he's not, is he?
No, he's not. He's 53.
God.
Eddie Caddy, who's a comedian who I like, but...
Mm-hmm. We saw him on Richard Osman's House of Games, didn't we?
Yes.
I think it was a repeat that we watched, but yeah, we saw him a few weeks ago on that, and we liked him.
Adam Thomas, who's in Emmerdale and Coronation Street.
Soapstar Boys.
Nikita Candy, who's from the BBC Asian Network. Ellie Leach, who played Faye Windass in Coronation Street. Really? For 12 years, never heard.
Well, we're not the right demographic, are we?
Jodie Cundy, who's a Paralympian, and Bobby Brazier, who was in EastEnders.
Well, I mean, people will know him for EastEnders, but I know him as Jade Goody's son. I mean, I remember when Jade Goody was pregnant with Bobby. That's our frames of reference are very different to people who are a lot younger.
Annabelle Croft.
Yes,
getting a second mention in a row on a podcast from us.
I'm excited about Annabelle Croft. I think that'll be brilliant. And just imagine for the comedy ones, they'll be putting her in like treasure hunt type.
Well, why aren't they bringing back The Interceptor?
Oh, please stop going on about that. For anyone at home, listen to our last podcast for Mark's Annabelle Croft madness.
I think it was in the spoiler section for
was it?
Fun to Again, so it's probably hidden away. And you've got Les Dennis.
Obviously, Les.
I've got Angela Scanlon.
Yep, that's it.
I love Angela Scanlon.
Well, I love Les Dennis, and he loves me too. Just to put.
You have a picture where he signed it, "Love Les."
Yeah. So when I was a child,
all good stories start this way.
Yes. When I was a child, I went to see Les perform. This was in it's either the late 80s or the early 90s. I think it's the late 80s. I went to see Les perform, and I loved him so much, I wrote to him. And he sent me a signed photo back. A signed photo which I still have to this day. And on it, it says, "To Elaine, love Les Dennis." And I think that I mean, you can get very deeply psychological into this, can't you? But when I was a kid, I just thought he like, not in a romantic way, but Les Dennis loves me. Like, Les Dennis has said that he likes me as a person.
And you've been taking things people say literally ever since.
Yes, that's true. It is, isn't it? God, I never thought about that. Yes, maybe that's where it all should have been sort of found out by the medical profession. Maybe if someone had picked it up at that age, a lot of medical diagnoses would be saved. But I genuinely, in my child's brain, like, I can tap into being that age. I genuinely think that, like, he not professed his love, not in like that, but I genuinely to me, he gave me a really lovely gift. Like, I know this sounds mad. I really do. I really hope he never ever listens to it. I mean, he's not going to, is he? But he gave me this gift of, like...
Imagine if he did.
Yeah, but I went through all my life just thinking, oh, Les Dennis really likes me.
When you say all your life, you do realise this was something that you probably just shat out in between.
Totally. I mean, it's one of those old photos with like his management on the bottom and everything. But since that time, I have followed Les's career, and I've always been really sad when he's sad and happy when he's happy. And I would never want to meet him in person because, like, you can't meet your heroes, can you? And I'm a little bit nervous about him being like on my television screen every week. He
seems like a nice guy.
I think he's a genuinely nice guy with a lovely family, and I just think I think it'll really, if I take away the fact that my To Elaine Love Les Dennis picture is upstairs under the bed, where it can radiate up into my brain.
I sleep in that bed too.
Yeah, no. Well, you've also got the love of Les Dennis. If you take that all away, I mean, he's a comedian. He's done a lot of theatre. He's done a lot, and I think he's in with a good chance. And people that do not have all of my Les Dennis baggage have said that he is a dark horse to win. So I'm going to put a bet on.
Really?
Yeah, genuinely. I'm going to put a bet on for Les to win.
I'm just going to check.
Are you
the
looking
odds.
up how much the odds are?
Have you ever told you the only autograph I have ever sought? Have you ever told you that story?
No.
So when I was, I want to say like 7 or 8, I went down to London with our local Cub Scout troop. Stopped in Baden-Powell House. No idea where that is.
No,
but
neither do I.
Yeah, I've got a story about that, but I don't think it's one for the podcast.
Okay, oh well, that's great.
But we went to the Tower of London. We all got a little guidebook thing, and then we went on a riverboat. And on the riverboat was a guy who just joined Home and Away.
Oh.
And he was a character who was a runner who Alf Stewart was mentoring, and he turned to drugs to help him get by.
Yeah.
And I think Alfred, as would happen, talked him out of it, and he'd gone on and probably won the race because that's what happens. And we saw him, and he was in London with his parents on this riverboat.
He was on the boat?
Yeah, and he signed all the Cubs' Tower of London guidebooks, which must be weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like, can you imagine that? Like, you're just in London and so you signed loads of Tower of London guidebooks. Came back home, he'd been written out the show.
Oh no.
So he was only in it for a couple of weeks.
That's
but
so sad.
yeah.
And there he is just signing things, and then his career's, waned.
I mean, who knows? It's probably like Russell Crowe.
Probably, yeah, I was thinking that. Normally you get like random people who then turn up to be superstars afterwards, don't you?
I'd love to I'd love to know who he is now.
We're gonna sit one night and we're gonna look him up.
I'm gonna do it the second we finish this podcast.
Anyway, what's Les's odds?
I'm just trying to find out now.
But you've been trying to find it for a while. Is it really
I've also
that
been
difficult?
telling a story.
I know, but you have been looking at your phone whilst telling the story, so...
So Les Dennis is joint second to last favourite.
What? No. Who's favourite?
Favourite is Bobby Brazier.
Okay. Interesting.
4-1.
Wow.
Les Dennis is 50-1.
50-1. Well, that would be a good return.
How much are you going to put on?
I don't know. £2 each way. The only betting I do is with the...
Do you know who the outsider is?
Outside. What do you mean by outsider?
So like the long shot, like the person with the longest odds.
Annabelle Croft?
No, she's quite high. She's 16-1.
I don't really remember all of the people.
No, me neither. It's Krishnan Guru Murphy at 100-1.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wonderful. Shall we get on with talking about some television we've been watching?
Can we do films first? Because you haven't got any films.
No, that's true.
So I'll just fire through. I've got 3,
okay.
But I can do them really quickly, and then we can talk. We actually talk about TV shows.
I mean, we did say that this was going to be a really quick podcast, and we've spent probably about half an hour talking about wrestling and Les Dennis. So might as well.
These are a few of our favourite things.
Saturday night at the movies. Who cares what picture you see? When you're hugging with your baby, last row in the balcony.
Films. 3 films from you.
3 films really quickly. Mm-hmm. I'm going to time myself.
Okay.
So, first one is The Cloned Tyrone.
Right.
Have you heard of this film?
I have heard of this film.
Okay,
yes,
right.
I have.
Normally when I do these things, you go,
I just go, what? And then look off into the distance and wait for you to finish. But yes, I have heard of The Cloned Tyrone, but I don't really know very much about it. So will you set up the premise for me?
Yeah, so imagine Stranger Things, but instead of it being a 80s teen movie premise, it's set in modern day, but the stylization is very much a 70s blaxploitation film.
Oh, okay. So a bit like Stranger Things, it's set now, but the styling is of another era.
Well, I mean, Stranger Things isn't set now. Stranger Things is set in the 80s.
Oh, no,
isn't
it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, okay. But you're saying in this film, so this is very overcomplicated.
The thing imagine
it's set
sex
now.
education, how
Right,
it's set now and people have got cell phones and
that's a better comparison.
smartphones. Yes, it is, yeah.
It's much better.
But it's very much looks like the 80s.
Yeah, okay, right, I got you.
This
I got
looks
you.
like
It
the
looks
70s,
like the
but people have...
blaxploitation, yeah.
So it stars John Boyega as Fontaine,
Oh, lovely.
who is a drug dealer.
We love John Boyega.
He goes to pay a visit to Jamie Foxx, who is a pimp called Slick Charles,
Of course he is.
and one of his girls, who is Tiona Paris. Do you know her?
No.
Yeah, you do.
Name rings a bell, but I can't quite...
Yeah, so she plays the agent in
in One Division.
One Division,
That's it,
yes.
Yeah. Oh, she's great.
Yeah, so she was in Candyman. She was in If Beale Street Could
Of
Talk.
course she was in Candyman. Yeah, I love that film.
John Boyega's character is after some money that Slick Charles owes him. He gets some money, goes outside, and is shot up by a rival drug dealer. The next day, John Boyega goes around to Slick Charles' house, and they're like, "You were shot and killed yesterday. What's happening?" And they go and investigate shit. This is a lot of fun. Like, I don't think the sci-fi premise necessarily works beyond that.
It's like a bit like a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, kind of, but there's less of a sort of moral and
Right.
yeah.
It's just sci-fi, just straightforward sci-fi.
The three leads are excellent. Really good interaction with each other. You know how in Doctor Who sometimes the sci-fi is kind of like it's a bit timey-wimey.
Yeah.
This is a bit sci-fi wifey
Okay.
in that stuff happens and you're like, I'm not sure that makes any sense. But I really enjoyed this. It's on Netflix. It's worth a watch. I think it's it's under 2 hours long. And yeah, it's violent. It's very sweary. It's a fitting of a film that stars a drug dealer and a pimp and a sex worker. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. Next one, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem.
Heroes in a half shell.
Total power. This could almost be by the same people as Spider-Man Spider-Verse films because it's very stylized animation. It is very meta. You know exactly what you're going to get when you go into it. But this is a lot of fun. I mean, do you know much about this at all?
I saw the trailer for it and I was a little bit taken aback because the animation, like you say, is almost like, and I know it isn't, but it's almost like claymation in that the edit, you can see the edits. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Like, it feels like the screen is moving.
Yeah, you can see the scratches on the screen, I think, is...
And just the way that the people, well, the turtles move, the movement, just... And it kind of threw me a little bit because I am so used to the 90s Turtles films, which we watched. Do you remember we watched Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles one Christmas? I was putting up the Christmas tree and we had it on in the background. It might have been Secret of the Ooze, you know, the sequel.
No, because I've never seen that.
Well, we were definitely watching one. You were sat on the sofa because you do not engage in putting the things on the Christmas tree, and I was putting the things on the Christmas tree, and we had it on in the back. I remember thinking, "Oh, this is interesting, April O'Neil," and you know. So my brain, like that night, you know, with the man like in a suit dressed as a rat.
Splinter.
Yeah. But that's what I'm thinking of rather than this very stylized animation. So that it's difficult for me to sort of get over that, I think.
Okay. I mean, this is... The big thing about this is, for the first time ever, I think the Turtles feel like teenagers. And teenagers who don't quite understand the world. They don't understand why they have to live in the sewers. They just want to be normal high school kids. And there's a lot of sort of dream sequences around that. Sorry?
Eat pizza.
Yes, eat pizza. Yeah.
They've got teenagers to voice the Turtles, haven't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Because usually it is just blokes in a suit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, can't do that on an animation, hun.
No.
But,
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, this uses a wide range of apparently the wider cast of characters that are around the Turtles.
So not just Splinter and Shredder and April O'Neil, which are the three that I know. I'm very proud of.
So Shredder is not the main villain in this.
Oh, but he's the baddie.
Well,
He's got the face thing.
I mean,
and
stick around during the credits,
a bit
but
of a
yeah.
bit of a cape going on. Okay.
April O'Neil is a high school girl in this.
Oh.
Which
Does she work for the paper? The school paper?
She is an aspiring journalist for the school paper. She's played by Ayo Adibri, who is from The Bear, who is excellent. She plays she plays Sydney in The Bear, and really awesome presence both in The Bear and in this. But yeah, I mean, the cast of characters for these, there is such a wide range of mutants that they meet. This is Seth Rogen's film, and he has just got all his mates to come in. So Maya Rudolph, John Cena, Rose Byrne, Natasha Demetriou, Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh, lovely.
Paul Rudd appeared.
Oh God, of course he does. I mean, he's everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, and
Not
Splinter, played by Jackie Chan.
Well, that is brilliant.
Yes.
I do like that. Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when it got to the plot of them fighting the bad guys, I kind of iffy on it, but when they are just being teenagers and hanging around, lots of fun, really enjoyed it. It's a real recommendation from me. I really enjoyed it.
Is it? I suspect it's quite a short film.
I think it's only 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Let me double check.
Perfect
I've got
for you
that.
as well.
Yeah. 1 hour 39. Okay. So yeah. And
I've heard good things across the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good film. It's a really, really good film. Final film, Joyride.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I had a moment there because I was singing Roxette's Hello, You Fool, I Love You, Come and Join the Joyride.
I mean, we did that a lot.
I know, but I remember now because you specifically went to an independent cinema to see this.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
Did you go to one of the... Oh, you went to one of the big commercials?
Yes.
But you went into a funny screen.
Yeah.
Because this is not a film that's been shown everywhere, is it?
No, I think it is. Yes.
I thought this was like a real one of those indie films that no one gets to see.
No.
Okay,
you're thinking of something else. I
Right,
know what
go
you're
on,
thinking.
Yeah, okay.
So this is a Asian-centric, female-fronted comedy. Think an equivalent of Bridesmaids, for example. And it is about Ashley Park, who is a adoptee from China, who's been adopted by a white family in America, who is friends with Sherry Cola's character, who is someone who was born in China but moved to the USA at an early age. They become friends as the only Chinese kids in the area. Grow up together. Ashley Park becomes a high-flying lawyer. Sherry Cola is an artist who lives in the shed at the back of Ashley Park's house, and so they are friends at a different stage of their life. Ashley Park has to go to China on a business trip and takes Sherry Cola with her, and hilarity ensues. Out there they meet her friend, a college roommate who is now an actress in China, who's played by Stephanie Su.
Ah, I know Stephanie Su.
Yes. And they take Sherry Cola's cousin with her, who is played by Sabrina Wu. None of these actresses, apart from Stephanie Su, are people who I'm overly familiar with. But this is a lovely film. Like anything, like Bridesmaids. You've seen Bridesmaids.
Yeah.
You've seen Superbad. You know, these comedies. There is heartfelt moments, and I will say that within 30 seconds of this film, I was in absolute floods of tears. Yeah, there is something where you think it's going to be a different way, and it absolutely broke my heart, the opening of this film. And all the way through, and just the characters interacting with each other are so much fun. Where this film didn't work for me is the big set pieces of where you're meant to get the whole cinema crying, laughing. Like, think the wedding dress fitting in Bridesmaids.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of that was just, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Everyone else in the cinema really laughing, so this might be a personal thing for me. But it seemed like it was cut really weirdly. It's a 90-minute film. It's like, I think it might be 94 minutes. So they've cut this to shit. And so things just kind of end at certain points. And I'm like, I thought there was going to be an exit from this joke, but you smash cut something else. This went places I did not see coming. People appear in this who I did not see coming, and like almost gave out a little cheer when they arrived. The thing that doesn't work for me is there is a lot of tropes that are hit upon. Like, there is a trope between Ashley Park and Stephanie Su's character potentially going to live together in a different city to, I think they live in Seattle originally, and that might leave her and Sherry Cole's character behind. That's just straight out of Superbad. Like, absolutely. That is cut and paste from 3 characters in Superbad. But this is a 4-star comedy. It's probably the best comedy I've seen all year. I just wish that the big set pieces worked for me. But yeah, I think you would have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, it sounds like it. When it comes on to the streaming services, I'd definitely give it a whirl. You know me, in comedy, we are not happy bedfellows. But from what you're saying, I think the fact that this is women's stories, you've got that plot point of the adoption, and going back to China, all of those things I think will really add some different, you get those standard comedies, and I just sort of roll my eyes of women in New York, and I just sound like I don't need to see women in New York anymore. I think that adds a different dimension, so I would be interested in watching this and seeing if I laugh at all. Yeah. Which is unlikely for me and all comedies.
Yeah, there are things that don't work about it, but I think the 80% of this is brilliant, and there is just a little things around the edge which don't work for me. But I've done all my films in 15 minutes.
That's amazing. I can't believe that's actually happened. I was thinking we were going to be here for 45 minutes and then I would have to go, right, Mark, we need to stop now because we just chat on.
No.
Let's see what we do with TV.
Okay.
Watching television.
So in TV, I have got one programme, and that is Becoming Elizabeth. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, I thought this was a brand new programme, but you were watching it the other day, and it said like season 3.
Yeah, something weird has happened on Sky where it's just popped up randomly with like season 1 and all the episodes, and then season 3 with a random like late on episode. So something has happened in the Sky system.
So is this not a new programme?
Right, okay, well it's got a funny background to it. Do you not remember about a year ago, I said, and I think I put out a tweet about it saying, there's this amazing new programme called Becoming Elizabeth. It's produced by Stars, which is not normally a sort of a, what do you call it? It's
not the benchmark of quality drama, is it?
It's not, and it's not where I would typically go for my TV programmes.
Yes.
But it was getting rave reviews. It was looking at the early life of Elizabeth Tudor, Henry VIII's daughter, who then later became Queen Elizabeth I. Those early years, and a lot of people don't know about how she became queen or where she lived and who she lived with, and some of the scandals that really plagued her teenage years. So I was really, really intrigued by all of this. Like I say, I was getting rave reviews, had some really, interesting British cast, some diverse casting as well that you don't get to see in Tudor dramas. I just thought, this is great. When's it coming out? And then it just wasn't. And on Twitter, people were saying, does anyone know what it's good? Does anyone know, it's that thing, a bit like with Poker Face. I think that was coming out at the same time, that people in America could see this Stars show. I was looking on Amazon Prime. It was meant to be coming out on Amazon Prime, but then it just wasn't. I was going to pay for it, but even, I was going to put some money behind it, because another special interest of mine, aside from Les Dennis, is the Henry VIII and his 6 wives. When I was a kid, I was really, really obsessed with the stories of the 6 wives of Henry VIII.
Was.
Well, you know what? As I've got older, my knowledge has really waned, but I still have quite a lot tucked away in my head, and we do have a lot of Henry VIII books in this house. And signed copies as well from various...
From Les Dennis.
But not from Les Dennis. Les Dennis did not do the Tudors. Anyway, maybe if you dressed up as Henry VIII, I'd be very happy. So, what was I saying? Yeah, so anything Tudor related, I will watch and I will consume. And this I thought was really interesting because, like I say, you don't typically get a deep dive into the early life of Elizabeth Tudor. And all the others as well, because then you've got Mary, you've got Lady Jane Grey, and Edward VI. So you've got all of those players Sorry, Mark's got his hand in the air.
Can I point out that having lived with you for 10 years, I quite often get an insight into the early years of Elizabeth I.
I know, but I think the wider public, they tend to just jump straight to, you know, like for example, the Kate Blanchett films just kind of jump to the stage where she's older and she's about to become queen, and they don't go through this thing of like, well, what really did happen when her father died? Immediately between that time and her becoming queen, what were the scandals and the trauma, and you know, lots of things went on in that time, huge shifts within the country and within the politics of the country as well. Sorry, I've gone on a rant, haven't I? Anyway, so Stars put it out. They did. No one picked it up in here in the UK until a few weeks ago when Channel 4 just started showing it, and I missed it. I'd missed that it was on. And friend of the podcast, Chris, hello Chris, was messaging me and saying that he'd watched a couple of episodes and really enjoyed it. This is a really interesting look at the Tudor court life, and there's a couple of things with it. The first thing is it's got a lot of sexual content, which you don't tend to get with...
I'm putting my phone down now.
with these sorts of period pieces, apart from The Tudors, which was Jonathan Rhys... Is it Jonathan Rhys Myers? Jonathan Rhys Myers, and Henry Cavill, actually. A young Henry Cavill. When that came out, when The Tudors came out, that was very much meant. It was very, it's sexy. It was people taking bits of their clothes off, even in the opening credits, and it was set up as that. But really, it was just a bit titillating. This starts with Henry VIII's final wife, Catherine Parr, having explicit, it's not all coy, sex with her new beloved. And I was a bit taken aback by it because A, there was all this sexual content, but B, it was very realistically filmed. Hello, Mark, you have a hand in the air again.
Is her new beloved Anne Boleyn's brother?
No.
Shit, I really wanted to impress you.
You're nearly there. It's Jane Seymour's brother, Thomas Seymour. So you were so nearly there. So you get 5 points, I think, for that.
Out of?
10.
Okay, that's
like
all
half
right.
a mark.
That,
yeah, that's all right. So anyway, so you've got the sexual content, but also you've got this. It really reminds me, and I'm probably going to get shouted at for this by various people who love these things, but when they filmed Wolf Hall, this was a BBC production, when they filmed Wolf Hall, they did it with lots of natural light. They did it where you were walking through these older buildings, and you could see that they hadn't set up big lighting rigs, or it wasn't smooth. It was almost a handheld camera, and that's how this feels. It almost feels like a companion piece to Wolf Hall, which is one of the highest compliments that I can pay it. I feel like what they've done is they've taken these characters from the past, they've put them in the present, but dressed up as of the time and in the houses they would have been in at the time. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like you can touch them. They feel really real, and they speak in a way that feels real, and there's a lot of swearing, which I'm not entirely sure would have happened. But anyway, there's a lot of effing and jeffing, there's a lot of sex. It's also a really complicated story because some of the sexual content involves the young Elizabeth and other people. And of course, this is complicated because whilst it would have been deemed acceptable at the time for people of a younger age to be married, even at, sort of 12, 13, with our modern eyes, we can see that the people involved, we would today see them as predators. Yeah. And therefore, I found it very uncomfortable to see those scenes played out as a romance or as something that was consented to, that both parties were wanting that to occur. And it's interesting to sort of grapple with that in your mind, and maybe that's what the TV show is asking us as a modern audience to go, well, this at the time was seen like this, but now with our modern eyes we would. say that this person was grooming or was a predator. So there's been a lot for me to really sort of handle with this programme, but I have absolutely loved it. It is slow. It really takes its time to take you through the minutiae of what was happening at that time, but the people involved in it, and a lot of them aren't well-known names. There's a guy called, I'm sure it's John Heffernan, or something that's Heifer something or other at the end. He plays the Lord Somerset, the Lord Protector.
John Heffernan.
Yeah,
yes.
John Heffernan. He is just amazing. He is just brilliant. It's the best portrayal, and like I say, honestly, I just roll my eyes when I hear myself, but I have seen a lot of portrayals of the Lord Somerset in my time, right?
Haven't we all?
Yeah, I've seen the 1970s versions of the Six Wives of Henry. I had the film. When I was a kid, and they said, in my English class, pick a film that you really love and do an analysis of it. I picked the Waris Hussein's The Six Wives of Henry VIII from the mid-1970s, while everyone else was picking, like, Forrest Gump or something. And I analysed the costuming and the music, and I should have done film studies. That's how into this I was. So I've seen all of these different versions. And his portrayal of the Lord Somerset, honestly, it's just phenomenal. And some of the sparring between the different characters, again, there was a review of it in The Guardian when it first came out in Stars that compared it to Succession. Now, I do not think that is the case, but what they're trying to say is this is a dark political intrigue. There's twists and turns, and it's all, our history. What I'm really sad about, because we've come to the end now of the first season, is that there won't be a second, and it leaves you where you're about to get into Lady Jane Grey, where you're about to get into Mary the First, your Bloody Mary, and Catholicism and Philip of Spain, and working towards Elizabeth becoming queen. And I'm so sad for this production, because you can see the work, the costuming, the design, the locations, the people. They have really put their all into it. You would never in a million years think this was a Stars production. You would think this was, and I think a lot of people have from looking at Twitter, you'd think this was a Channel 4 or a BBC production.
Yeah.
I cannot recommend it enough, particularly to people who love this era, although you have to be prepared for the fact that it is very modern in its direction, and it does really challenge you in terms of, how can someone of a, 13, 14 be involved romantically in this way? You're cringing, so you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it does really challenge you to, and I think it's meant to. I do think it's meant to.
Yes. Yeah. I would hope so. But yeah, it's. I mean, I'm not going to watch this.
You're not going to watch it, but you know what?
You're more likely to, having just listened to the description. I'll turn on the beginning. I'll give it the first 5 minutes.
You'd be alright in the
first
5 minutes of episode 1. I think the rest, you'd just be like, no, don't think I want to say this. But it does have this political intrigue.
I've sat through a lot of Tudor shit.
You have.
In my time.
You have. But this, I think, take away the era, take away the fact that it's a period drama. What is really, it's got really interesting things to say about women in the time. It's got really interesting things to say about religion and reform and, boy kings and people around him and courts and political intrigue. I just think it's fantastic. And like I say, just wonderful to see that part of history portrayed. I've finished now. I've stopped my my lecture on Elizabeth.
Can I ask a question of something that's not related to that, but is a little bit?
Right, come on then.
What film did Kathy Burke play Mary the First?
So that's Elizabeth from 1998, the Shaker Kapoor film.
Okay. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Because, as you've been saying that, I've just had in my head Kathy Burke saying, "That's whore Anne Boleyn."
Yes.
Yeah. And I was trying to work out what it was.
Yeah, she's right at the beginning of that film.
Yeah.
Also has Lily and Alfie Allen in that, but I don't know if they're credited. So whenever something like on Pointless comes up,
And Eric Cantona.
And I love Eric
And
Cantona in it.
Angus Dayton.
Yes, that's right.
I've lived with you far too long.
You have.
And have listened to you do Elizabeth
love
on
that
Pointless.
film so much. I love it so much. Right, come on then, quick before I turn this into a Tudor podcast.
I mean, I've literally done the 3 films in a time.
Yeah, I know.
So
don't
don't speed me up.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, just a quick one on The Bear, because The Bear is back for season 2. We had to wait for it to all play out in America, which is really frustrating.
And for anyone who doesn't come from Hull, that would be The Bear.
That's so cruel.
But whenever you say it, I think it's so sweet. The Bear.
The Bear.
The Bear.
Season 1 was so good that I forgot to put it on my top 10 list for TV last year, and you had to remind me about it.
Yeah.
Probably my second best TV show of the last year. I am halfway through season 2, and I am having to ration myself on it so that I don't go through it as quickly.
Is it all up?
It's all up, yeah.
Right,
it's
okay.
dropped it on a wanna. It is so good, this show. Season 1, I think it got a bit of a reputation, which probably put you off, that it was quite stressful watch.
Yeah, it did.
I don't think it's any more stressful than, say, I think I used this at the time when we talked about it, the episode of MasterChef where they go into a kitchen.
Okay, so MasterChef, like the reality show,
Yeah.
where real people go into a real kitchen. I find that very stressful.
Yeah, but you watch it. I think
Yeah.
I hate that to the point where I don't want to watch that episode because I think they're letting people down and stuff like that. And I don't.
And
I
it
don't
just
like
gets very
that.
stressful because nobody really knows what they're doing because they're not professional chefs. Right, okay, carry on.
Season 1 ends in a way which I won't go into because I think if you are not watching The Bear, seriously, it's on Disney Plus. Get into this because I'd really recommend this for you because I think you would really enjoy this. Season 2, they are ripping apart their business strategy and trying to go with a new style of restaurant for whatever reason. And I think the difference in this is, I think I'm used to in TV shows things like Breaking Bad, for example, where people start working together and then gradually drift apart. In this, the second season, people are working together more. Like, people are less angry at each other. This is a TV show absolutely built on the characters and the relationships between them. In some ways, like in the same way that Succession is, and I'd put this close to Succession in how good this TV show is.
Wow, that is high praise.
Everyone has a really interesting story, and you scratch the surface of them, and you can see the flaws underneath. This is such a beautiful TV show. It's so easy to watch. It's half-an-hour episodes, and I am just getting into, like, I've had some of the special guests that appear in this. I've had some of them spoiled to me, but then I saw an episode where a character goes to Denmark to train in a pastry chef. And, oh, look, there's a Hollywood star just making a guest appearance as the chef that's teaching him. This has got so much goodwill for me. This is going to be fighting with Succession as my favourite show of the year, so long as it can stick the landing. I believe they will be coming back for season 3. I've not heard anything to say otherwise, and I really hope so, because this is one of the best shows on TV. Please watch it. And I know that there is nothing I can tell you that will make you watch something less than please watch this.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The other night, I can't remember when it was, but the other night you were watching what I presume was The Bear, because there were people in a kitchen talking about the strategy for a new business, and I was sitting on the sofa with you, faffing on with something else, and I started to sort of find myself looking up and sort of not really understanding what was going on. But the way the people talk to each other and the acting that felt very realistic and human, and the way it was directed must have caught my eye. I think that I was just sort of looked at, oh, that's a bit different. It doesn't look contrived. It doesn't look glossy.
Yeah.
It looks very. There was a realism about it that made me put my head up probably from my laptop, I think, and watch along with you.
Yes.
So that is probably the easiest way of getting me into something, and that you've got to kind of get it in front of me without me realising. It's a bit like, when kids won't eat their vegetables, So you mash them all up and you put them in the pasta sauce. I feel similar things need to happen with me with things, because if you're totally right. The more you tell me, and the more I hear on other podcasts how brilliant the show is, the more I dig my heels in and go, well, I'm just not going to watch that.
Yeah, what's that about?
I have no idea. Hey, let's not go into that.
Let's not scratch that.
Let's not scratch that surface. So the fact that I watched a bit of it, and I did think, oh, if I've got a day off or something, or a morning where I've not got appointments or things like that, I might just, because they're only half an hour, aren't they?
Yeah.
I could give one half an hour, and then if it wasn't for me, because sometimes these things, I know some people have watched Succession and said, yeah, not for me, which, I find like, oh my God, how? But we all have different tastes. If it's not for me, then at least I can say I've given it a go.
Yeah.
But I suspect what I'll find, you'll come home and I'll have been sat on the sofa
and you'll have
with
overtaken me.
A big bar of dairy milk just watching this.
Am I going to come back from London and find that you...
Well, funnily enough, I am in... The weirdest thing is, I'm not going to have, the opportunity to do all of these things because I'm going to be incredibly busy.
Are you telling me that when I'm away, you don't just sit by the door waiting for me to come back like a dog?
You know what? The funniest thing is, the time you're away is the busiest time I have, properly ever. I am out and about and doing all sorts. I'm seeing lots of different people, and I'm going to be keeping myself busy, darling. It's all right. You go and watch the wrestling. I have a very, very busy social life here.
Sad times. Right. Well,
yeah.
I think we've
we've done well actually, because I was really worried that we would just chat on, because it's been a while since we've done a podcast. And why are you laughing?
I don't know, because I can't even see
Were you having a look?
I was having a look to see how long it was. It's under an hour.
Look. I haven't got my glasses on, so I can't see either. That's really good podcasting.
They're literally on your head.
They're on my head, I know. Anyway, let's just pretend that it's under an hour and that we've done really well. Thanks very much for listening, everyone. We really do appreciate it. If you don't follow us already on social media, you can find us at The Honeymoon Pod on Instagram, and we're still on Twitter, even though my thoughts on that are that every day I'm closer and closer from ripping us off it.
Yeah.
But we're on at the moment.
X.
Yeah. No. See, I haven't even said or referred to it as that. Even is it still called Twitter? I'm just calling it. I'm just not going down that route.
If you would like to leave us a review, you can do so at Apple Podcasts, and if you'd like to leave us a star rating, you can leave it on Spotify and on Pocket Casts.
I haven't left us a star rating on Spotify or Pocket Casts yet, but I might do.
I have.
Have you?
Yeah, because I don't normally use Spotify for my podcast, but I went past the other day and went, I'm going to give myself a number, and they were like, yeah, you've already done that, dickhead.
And Pocket Casts, I only noticed that the other day, that the star rating is against the podcasts I listen to. I was like, ooh.
That's great. I mean, we did mention it a couple of weeks ago.
Right, that's good. Right.
But yeah, you've only just noticed.
Yeah, that's right. That's how much I listen when you chat on. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
We'll be back soon.
See you later.